on this Saints Wind edition of the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show.
It starts to give Saints fans and the New Orleans Saints some optimism that wasn't there before, that they might have their quarterback for at least 2026.
He took a step forward that is pretty remarkable.
I think the poise really stood out.
There's other pieces on this roster you've got to address, you've got to deal with.
Dart.
Yeah, throw a dart. Wherever it Where's the land? We need that. Because they literally need everything
They do.
else.
They need help in every room.
But it's
Welcome into another Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show, a post-win edition.
Post-win edition. I was wondering what you were going to call it, but you got to lead with win.
It's a win, everybody. They did it, and we're going to tell you how they did it and why we're still concerned about it. We're going to break a whole bunch of stuff down on today's show. We appreciate you being here for another episode. This show, of course, a collaboration between WWL TV and, I can say this now, the #1 sports podcast network, period, the Locked On Podcast
Wow.
Network. Very exciting for us.
Congratulations to Ross Jackson and company.
I am Ross Jackson, Doug Mouton, and we'll be joined by some friends along the way.
Yeah, okay, look, we want to start with Tyler Shough.
Yeah.
An unbelievably encouraging outing from Tyler Shough in Charlotte. And the biggest thing about this season is, do you need a quarterback again? Or are you going to be shopping for a quarterback in this offseason? How does this game change your opinion of whether or not the Saints are going to be in the quarterback market?
Yeah, I don't think it fully changes my opinion right away. But here's what I will say. I do think that it starts to give Saints fans and the New Orleans Saints some optimism that wasn't there before, that they might have their quarterback for at least 2026. Now, it's one game. We have to see if he can piece it all together and everything. We saw what the performance was like against the Rams, an elite defense, going up against an okay defense with the Carolina Panthers. He was able to take advantage of some vulnerabilities there, which we can't always say has been the case for this team.
He took a step forward that is pretty remarkable, I thought. And to me, the single thing he did better than anything else was his pocket awareness, his ability to step up and move around and to feel the rush peripherally.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of what he did extremely well. There was the 52-yard pass, his first pass of the game.
Third play.
To Juwan Johnson, where he keeps both hands on the football. It was Tershawn Wharton who grabbed his arm and pulled on it, didn't let it go, and then ended up kind of navigating, finding the backside curl out of the pocket, climbed the pocket, and then delivered the football for a 52-yard catch and run to Juwan Johnson. It's those things that make Tyler Shough special. Those are things that Dalton Pence told us about weeks ago here on the show when he joined us from Locked On Louisville. And then so now the next thing is just making sure that he can put together the consistency, I think, is the
for
next
sure.
piece.
But those were things we hadn't seen.
Yeah,
And this game, if nothing else, even if he doesn't do it again this season, and we hope he does, we have seen it. He has shown us that he can deliver at an elite level, and that's a very nice thing. All right, let's show you what's on the menu on this edition of the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show. By the way, a win edition of the show. And we are going to be talking, shockingly, the large plates, the big part of the menu, about Tyler Shough and his performance. And we're also going to be talking about Kellen Moore, what this means for him. Look, I said this from my 4 takeaways. He sort of Mr. Miyagi'd us a little bit. We didn't see the logic of what he was doing, and then all of a sudden it sort of came together in one game. That was really nice. And then the small plates.
Yeah, small plates. We're going to be taking a look at the New Orleans Saints defense that performed extremely well. The other reason why this team won their football game up against the Carolina Panthers. So we'll be breaking that down and taking a look at what else this New Orleans Saints team needs to do after the bye down the stretch as well. We say small plates. Those guys, not small. Not small.
They're not small in any way. And our dinner guest, a great tandem. We've got Les East from Crescent City Sports, does a great job. Longtime Saints reporter. I love a little bit of perspective from Les we're going to get. And then Ricardo LeCompte's going to bring his usual brand of ridiculousness to the show. And our last call, Ross Jackson, is making the drink. And what are you making us?
I'm going to be making us a Kentucky peach lemonade. A little bit of bourbon, a little bit of peach vodka, a little bit of lemonade, whole lot of fun, and a whole lot of tasting.
I like the multiple ingredients. All right, look, and I just wanted to go through a couple of numbers from Tyler Shough's performance. It was ridiculously good. Those are his standard numbers. The yardage, 282, is nice.
Can I say one thing about the yardage? 282 yards in total. 201 of those came on third down passes alone.
Wow. That's good. That's nice. That's the number, though, that to me, the number that jumps out, 10.4 yards per pass, which is elite. If you did that in a season, you'd be number 1 in the NFL. But what that shows is that he's getting the ball downfield.
Yes,
he's not dinking and dunking. It's not check downs. There were a couple of check downs, a couple of very effective check downs. There was also some plays legitimately downfield. His passer rating, 128.9, third best among 28 quarterbacks to start in Week 10, which is awesome. And then 4 explosive plays of plus 20 yards, 3 in the pass game, 1 running the ball, and I don't think it's a secret. You run the ball better when you're throwing the ball downfield.
Absolutely.
And then the Saints, 8 of 17 on third down. That was the 6th best this week. But if you could hit at 47% all season, you'd be in the top 3 in the NFL.
Yeah.
That is also elite from a Saints offense, which is awesome.
6 of those 8 third down conversions passes from Tyler Shuck as well. So I stretched the third down thing because we watched just a week ago 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 4 or 5 possessions early on. Early on in the season, we saw the same issue for New Orleans not being able to extend drives. And so just watching this new quarterback come and step in and be able to help them extend some of those drives is pivotal.
And the quality of competition obviously means something. Against the elite team, the Rams, again, I said this last week, the Saints played 6 games in their first 8 against teams that right this minute sit in a playoff spot. The last 7 games they play 1, and that's against Tampa. Carolina 5-4, although to me they are middle of the pack and maybe even towards the lower end. I don't think they're going to finish with a winning record. I just don't think they're that talented. But it's still a team that's not among the bottom feeders. And the Saints, I thought, fairly soundly beat them. I thought this was an encouraging win in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that is a Carolina Panthers team that went to Lambeau the week before and beat the Packers.
And they did.
In Green Bay.
That's a fact.
But beyond that, we watched this Saints team over the course of the past couple of years play bad teams and lose to bad teams. Right? So when you're going up against a team that at least shows some promise, and you actually show up against that team, I do think that there is something about that's worth highlighting.
Yeah, no question. And I thought Kellen Moore had a really good game as a play caller, and we were talking in the sports office before we came up, and Brandon Staley had a really good game as a defensive play caller.
He did an excellent job. He felt like he knew everything that Dave Canales over on the Carolina Panthers sideline wanted to do. Demario Davis won every opportunity to arrive at the point of attack on inside runs before Carolina Panthers running back Rico Dowdle did a ton of times. And then Alante Taylor getting his interception, faking the blitz, and then dropping out to go and take away that out route that they love to throw to Teteroa McMillan over on the field side, and he ends up getting his interception that way. Alante tweeted out a couple years ago after Baker Mayfield got his extension, and he said, "Yes, sir, it's my favorite quarterback, or one of my favorite quarterbacks," because that's the guy who got his first interception against for his career. But I think beyond that, Bryce Young has to be his favorite quarterback to play because 3 sacks, an interception, 6 passes defensed against them. I mean, he has been outstanding against Bryce Young.
That is good stuff, and it was a fun week. It's just nice to smile about a Saints game. We haven't done that in a little bit. All right, time to bring in the guests.
All right, everybody, continuing on with the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show. Ross Jackson, Doug Mouton. We are joined by our good friends, Ricardo LeCompte here from WWL TV and the Beast Les East from Crescent City Sports. Very, very grateful. First time here on the show, so thanks so much. And typically when we do this, we like to open up with you, so we're going to be coming to you here. Be ready.
Be ready.
Look, you watched Tyler Shuck this week, and you've seen him from the beginning of training camp. How surprised were you by what you saw? Because I feel like we saw stuff we had not seen in him yet.
Well, I think we saw pretty much everything we saw on Sunday at some point. I didn't expect to see it all come together in his second start. Because we knew, I mean, he's always been a big guy. He hasn't grown since training camp.
No, he has not.
He has all the physical tools. We've seen him make all the throws. We've seen him make good decisions. He's unusually mature for a rookie because he's been through a lot.
Because he's 64.
So we knew he had everything mentally, physically. I think the poise was really stood out because the way he stepped up in the pocket, as you talked about earlier. And I just thought it all came together at one time earlier than I would have expected. But I always felt like, and I think we all did, that he was capable of doing everything he did Sunday. But I think he surprised us with the timetable.
I think that's an excellent call about putting it all together.
Yeah, like the wax on, wax off.
Right.
He's been waxing on, waxing off.
Wait, how much Karate Kid have you watched? Because that is 2 now.
Because that's what it feels like.
You're going to crane kick during the
last call? There you go. He crane kicked the city of Charlotte.
He did.
So Ricardo, what's more surprising to you, Tyler Shuck's second start and getting the win, or the amount that Doug has talked about in Karate Kid so far today?
It was Karate Kid, but the Tyler Shuck thing, and yes, I think we all saw something like this. It was just a matter of, all right, how long is it going to take for him to get to that, like to mature and actually be like, all right, I'm ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think part of it is that, those 8 or so weeks that he got to just kind of sit behind, play scout team, watch what Spencer Rattler was doing, watch how this offense operated in games. A little bit of that helps as well. And part of this too, I'm sitting there going, man, why didn't Kellen Moore just pull the trigger sooner? Just a little bit sooner.
Maybe he wasn't ready sooner.
And maybe he wasn't ready sooner. Maybe it was like 2 games before. Maybe we could have seen this, because I think that Rams game, LA is such a good team, and at the same token, when they keep the ball away from you for that long, it's hard to really gauge what he could do. Now give him like maybe a lesser opponent to play in the Carolina Panthers. Let him operate, and we got to see all this, and that's where I'm like, find out what you have first. And I think we made that at the beginning of training camp. We made that point of going, find out what you've got in the room. I think we already had a great sample size of what Spencer Rattler could do.
Yeah.
See what you have with Tyler Shough.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're kind of seeing this now. I just wish it was just maybe a couple of games sooner that we got to see Tyler Shough kind of develop into what we saw on Sunday.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. And look, you talk about the weeks and the scout team. Scout team, you're working with a lot of practice squad offensive linemen against the number 1 defensive lineman of the Saints. So he got used to 8 weeks of practicing with muddy pockets.
Yeah.
I'm sure he rarely had a clean pocket, and clearly that played a role. I didn't ask you that at the beginning. Were you just surprised by it? Like, were you like, oh, wow. Like, did you have some of those moments during the game?
Yeah, I truly did, because, and even going back and rewatching the game, I still had those moments.
You were surprised the second time.
I was still surprised the second time. Because here's the thing that really impressed me about that performance. It's not all the good things that he did, it's the lack of red flags.
Yeah,
I didn't see a lot of things that concerned me from his operation. His mechanics were good, his footwork was good, his anticipation was good. His accuracy on passing could be a little bit more consistent. He had a couple that he put behind. Just these quarterbacks and throwing in-breaking routes. It's like no one in the league does it anymore, so they have no idea how to do it. And so I ended up putting one behind Taysom Hill, for instance. And so I think that those are the things where you go, okay, well, that's all fixable. To me, the thing that continues to surprise me about him is not only what he did, it's the lack of concerning things that he didn't do.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And I would agree completely. And I asked this to Ross at the beginning. Do you believe the Saints will be in the market for a quarterback this offseason? Or do you think he has shown enough, or maybe you're projecting a little bit, will show enough where we're like, we'll hold off for this year and go get some other things?
Yeah, it's a little early to say with 7 more games to see what he does. But at this point, I think they got to be looking at it as though, well, let's ride with him in 26. We got a lot of other stuff we need to fix.
A lot.
We picked him at 40 because we thought he could be the guy.
Right.
And now he's showing us early on that he probably can be. So we got too much other stuff to worry about. I think there's a very good chance he's your quarterback in 2026 if what we saw Sunday is going to be what we see going forward.
If Tyler Shough performs, let's say, to 80% of what he did against Carolina for the rest of the season, do you draft a quarterback in the first round if you're in position to do it?
This upcoming draft, no.
Yeah.
No, I think with Les said, there's other pieces on this roster you've got to address, you've got to deal with.
Dart.
Yeah, throw a dart. Wherever. What is the land? We need that because they literally need everything.
They do.
Else.
They need help in every room.
But it's a good sign when you don't have to worry about the quarterback.
Oh
part.
yeah, better
Especially
than good.
At least for a couple of, at least for next year, you don't have to worry about that. And there's other teams in the NFL that have that issue and that problem and are hoping that they have a terrible season so they can pick one or two so they can find find a quarterback. But yes, if he performs at least 80%, which means that's probably against some of the teams that are coming up on the schedule. That's not a hard ask to be like, hey, perform at 80, and if everything else is working out defensively, if you're able to find other ways to win games, you can beat the teams left on your schedule. 80% gets you some wins, gets you enough where you can go, all right, our quarterback issue is not the biggest issue we have to address this offseason. So I think you don't have to draft a quarterback if he does perform at that level the rest of the way.
Love that.
Yeah, and let's get to the boil water advisory, because I'm curious. What is it? Look, it's so much positive momentum, so much optimism at this very moment, even for a 2-8 team. What derails this thing? What derails your optimism, Les East?
So this is where we rain on the parade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Saints fans have had 2 days to savor a victory, and now we're going to say, here's why you need to start crying again. All right, so here it is. Okay, the offensive line did a nice job on Sunday. They ran the ball well. Average per carry wasn't great, but they stuck with it. They played with a lead for a change. They protected him well enough, and he did a good job of moving around. So the offensive line was okay. But even when they get Talifuaga back, and we don't know when that's going to be, it's a high ankle sprain, they're still down 2 starters on that offensive line with the trade of Penning and the injury to McCoy. So I have concerns about the offensive line being able to be consistently good. So if Shuck doesn't have a running game and he's under duress more often than he should be, then all of a sudden maybe we don't see the guy we saw on Sunday. So they managed to do it against Carolina, and you're right, the schedule coming up isn't all that challenging. But nonetheless, I do have concerns about the offensive line, and if it struggles, then it doesn't create as good a circumstance for him as he enjoyed on Sunday.
Yeah, really good pass rushers for Atlanta coming up after the bye week. It'll be a good test for exactly that. What stands out to you?
Yeah, you're looking at what this offense did on Sunday against Carolina. They scored points on an opening drive. They had played with the lead for a while. Like that, it's like they actually got off to a fast start. But we haven't seen that all year. This is the one anomaly we went, all right, okay, that's great. This is what the offense is. It's the slow starts, it's the mistakes. There's still a lot of stuff like that opening drive defensively. Remember the penalties we had where you had Justin Reed on the face mask that extended the play. You had another jumping off sides with Brian Brzee. There's those kind of things that, again, we kept saying over and over. The mark of a bad team, they make those kind of mistakes. They're not able to capitalize on opportunities. This is one game where everything fell right. Can they carry that over? And that's where I kind of pause for a little bit of concern going, but we've seen the sample size, at the beginning of the season. This is what this team is. So you're hoping they carry that over into the back end of the schedule, but more times than not, I think that's the team that the Saints are, not what we saw Sunday.
Yeah, was this the true team? You got one?
Yeah, I do, but I want to hear yours first.
No, I want to hear yours first.
I don't want to hear yours first.
Rock, paper, scissors first.
No, I think for me it's the run game. Like the run game for me is still the biggest concern. The whole idea once Kellen Moore was hired to be the head coach was, they're going to have a run game again. And they haven't, right? So they've run for over 100 yards as a team 4 times. 3 of those times, Dylan Radins was the starting left guard, not Trevor Penning. I'm not saying that all things point to Trevor Penning being a problem, but I'm saying that some things point to Trevor Penning being a problem.
And it might be addition by subtraction.
It could be addition by subtraction. So I'm curious to see if maybe they can keep that up, right? 120 plus total team rushing yards in this past game. Can they keep that going to support their young quarterback? And can they keep that going? To Les's point, they average under 4 yards per carry over the course of the entire game. However, averaged over 4 yards per carry through the first 3 quarters. It wasn't until that last 7-minute and 35-second drive that wrapped up the game and effectively put it to bed that they started creeping that average back.
And I think they had 3 kneel downs, which count against your rushing yards too. And look, mine is simple, and we touched on it before, is that this roster still needs a lot of help. I mean, look, we could be optimistic about a win over a mediocre team, but this is still a team that needs a lot of help. Now, if you're not drafted a quarterback, that jumpstarts you a lot because you can use that first-round pick on an elite player at another position, and several positions could use an elite player, but this roster still needs a lot of help. That's where I go. I do want to come back to you on Kellen Moore in general. Look, there's a lot of talk among media covering the team, not necessarily gone public, but behind the scenes, questioning, man, is Kellen Moore the guy? And certainly the Saints fans were saying the same thing through those 9 games. It's like, is this the guy? Do you have a little more confidence in Kellen Moore after seeing this? How would you stand with Kellen Moore? Just a review of where he is at this point.
Yeah, well, it's understandable that there would be questions.
Of course.
37 years old, youngest head coach in the NFL. He's now, 10 games into his first season, and they've only won 2 of them.
Right.
So, I mean, it's unavoidable. But a couple of things I would point out as far as being patient and maybe being positive about him. One is you could tell by the performance on Sunday and the reaction after the game that he still has this team. A 1-8 team could have bailed on him. If the players didn't think he was the guy, they could have easily bailed on him, and they didn't.
Yeah, that's good.
So there's belief, and you have guys like Demario Davis and Cam Jordan. You can't fool those guys, okay?
No.
They know the real deal and what's not the real deal, and Demario Davis has spoken eloquently about him. So I would give him credit for that. And also, I would say, I think he's handled the quarterback situation almost perfectly.
Yeah.
And the main reason was I thought Rattler was the more consistent guy in training camp. And if he had named Shuck the starter, that sends a bad message to Shuck, to Rattler, to the locker room. Some guys, if the new coach picked him number 40 in the draft, they don't have to win the competition in order to get the job.
Right.
They can just have it handed to them because of who they are.
Right.
And so I think he needed to give Rattler the chance. He gave him all the opportunity in the world. And I think when he went to Shuck, it was a good time to go to it. Ideally, I would have waited until after the bye week and started against the Falcons in the Dome. But I think when he pulled him in the Tampa Bay game, that made sense.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you don't go back. You make him, you start him and take the lumps in LA.
Yeah.
So I think it's worked out very well. And I don't think you can say, well, if they just started Tyler Shuck at the beginning of the year, he would have been playing like that on September.
He did not look
and I never made that point. It was just, I thought, early, maybe a little bit early.
Oh, yeah, I understand. And you can make a good case for that. I'm just saying.
Not week one.
Not week one,
His performance on Sunday is not something you could have expected on September 9th, because I think the 2 months of sitting and watching and learning and being patient, all of that factored into the poise he showed and the mental toughness he showed during the game.
That's good stuff. You know what time it is?
Last call!
All right, the bar is set up. We are ready to do some drinking. What are we drinking, Ross Jackson?
All right, we are doing a Kentucky peach lemonade. So it's super simple in terms of your ingredients. It's lemonade, it's Kentucky, which is the bourbon, and then of course it is peach with our peach vodka for this one. So nice one, a little bit of simple syrup just to help to counteract a little bit of the booziness.
Wait.
And we want people to not be worried.
I was worried.
From previous episodes of the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show, we do have backup bourbon.
Backup bourbon.
That's a little bit bourbon left.
We're keeping that down low shelf, but it's here. So you're mixing those up?
I'll go ahead and keep pulling this one together. But these are already pre-ready, just need to be stirred. I'll go ahead and get the last one ready.
Okay, and for our last call, Les, why don't you start us off?
Okay, I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the passing of Paul Tagliabue on Sunday, the former NFL commissioner. You know, we celebrated the 20-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. We're coming up on the 20-year anniversary of the 06 season. And, you know, that started from the darkest days of the Saints franchise in the city of New Orleans.
Darkest.
We went to the heyday of the New Orleans Saints franchise, and Paul Tagliabue was the guy who recognized, one, playing 4 games in Baton Rouge in 2005 would be very important for the spirits of the community in the early stages of rebuilding after Katrina. And then, of course, the big thing was making sure that the franchise came back here in 2006. No guarantees. He left it up to the citizens of the area to buy tickets and sponsorships to prove New Orleans could be viable as an NFL market.
And what did we do?
Knocked it out of the park.
Knocked it out of the park.
It all started with Paul Tagliabue, and he needs to be remembered for that.
That's awesome.
You know, my first Saints game ever covered was 06. I was working in Baton Rouge. It was 06, the first game inside the Dome, the Monday night against Atlanta.
Wow.
I was a news photographer at the time.
I love it.
That was the spirit of New Orleans revitalized.
It was. You got a last call?
It was awesome. I do have last call. This stat only works in my head, so I'm gonna say this. The 3 teams in the NFL last week that made major trades, right? The Saints, the Jets, and the Dolphins, all won. Can you believe that? So everybody who thinks like, hey, like the season's over, they're trading their best guys, they're rebuilding for next year. I think there's something to say about a team that is settled after you kind of figured out, you know, like, are we going to be traded? What's this roster going to look like? And I think there were 2 players in particular, Chris Olave and Alontae Taylor, who I think just played better with a little bit of like the weight was lifted off their chest because they didn't know their future.
Right.
After the trade deadline, were they going to be dealt? Were they going to be staying with the Saints? And they played well once that was lifted from there. You saw Chris Olave have over 100 yards receiving. You saw Alontae Taylor with that big interception in the 4th quarter. I think it does say something when a team is settled, or like your uncertainty, when all that's kind of like, you know your path now, you know what's going to happen. I think you play better, and I think we saw that on
Check
Sunday.
out the big brain on Ricardo.
That's really great.
Let's toast. All right, look, let's toast to Tyler Shough. Great outing. Yes. We hope there are plenty more in store.
Cheers. Cheers.
To Tyler Shough. Do you want to go next? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm busy. You go.
Oh, that's good.
This is really good.
Man.
I like that more than I thought I would.
Wow.
I'm really like a non-vodka snob, but that's a good drink. Maybe I'm just an idiot.
I think the peach vodka helps because I'm not like a super.
I think that
peach
peach and the lemon, like the lemonade, I like that
The
sweetness.
peach
And you
vodka-
get fresh
lemonade.
The
Always
peach
works.
vodka was $12. Nice. Like it should not be good out of a $12 bottle, and you know what? That's good.
Because all the ingredients lifted it up.
My last call, I want to pay tribute to John Summerall at Tulane. His team bounced back against Memphis. Memphis is a good team. Memphis was the team that the College Football Playoff Committee had put highest among the non-group of 4. They had the best shot to get to the College Football Playoff.
Yeah.
And Tulane didn't just beat them. Got a little choked up there. Tulane beat them. Yeah, thank you. Tulane beat them soundly.
Yeah.
This was by far their best effort of the year. Look, there were so many new pieces on that team. It makes sense that it took him a couple of months to get that team together and playing their best. I love what they did, and Tulane is right back in the college football playoff picture. Congratulations to John Summerall. Just a killer effort this week.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to wrap us up with a look at a player that has been a little unsung, and that a lot of people were very upset when he got his contract before the season. But I'm going to wrap up with Juwan Johnson.
Nice.
Johnson, over 90 receiving yards, had a wonderful day, great touchdown as well. 2 touchdowns in 2 games with Tyler Shough. Those 2, by the way, were teammates at Oregon in 2019. You did hear me say that correctly.
Wow.
And so this was a big concern over the course of the offseason. The Saints gave Juwan Johnson a 3-year, $30.75 million contract, which is in terms of average annual value, was 13th in the NFL. But right now, he is 6th amongst all.
You're talking about among tight ends,
among
right?
tight ends,
Right.
yep. And so he was 13th amongst all tight ends, and then he right now sits 4th amongst all tight ends in receiving yards.
Yeah.
He's in the top 6 in touchdowns. He's in the top 6 in terms of yards per catch as well. He has turned himself into, in this Kellen Moore system, a tight end that outperforms a contract that we all thought maybe was a bit of an overpay. Now, he's got to catch touchdowns a little bit more consistently.
Just catch passes consistently.
Right, and he's got 4, and he's got, I think it's 4, he's either 6th, tied for 6th with 4 drops, or he's tied for 4th with 6 drops. It's one of those 2.
Interchangeable, right?
I can't figure out which numbers
By
are on
drink
the
2,
chart.
you'll never get it.
Yeah, who knows?
Blame the $12
vodka.
Yeah.
But so there's obviously still places for him to go and things for him to do and all these other pieces. But we wanted to see him come alive in this Kellen Moore system because we've seen Kellen Moore be able to thrive with some of these athletic tight ends. And so far, Juwan is outperforming his contract.
That's good, man. I loved all 4 of the last calls. I feel like we kind of brung it on the last call.
was awesome.
All right, look, Les, spectacular having you on.
Cheers
We're going
to
to do
you.
it again.
Thank you.
Ross,
Thank you, Les.
Ricardo,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
guys.
everybody, for watching this edition of the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show.
Drink up.